Listeners, beware! You're in for a scare. Howdy folks, welcome to Nightmare on Fear Street, and this week we got some churros, we went on a carousel, and we had a good time, I think, until some people died. Well, I'm Zach.
I'm Meg.
Yay, murder!
Yay!
And I gotta say, this is probably one of my favorite books we've read this year.
And I've got to say that I love how every single week, when you do that, listeners beware, you're in for a scare, you turn more and more into the Crypt Keeper.
Well, you see, every time that I do it, I cough up a little more blood each time. I feel like I'm going to become like Jeff Goldblum in The Fly when like he has like his voice recognition software and it slowly doesn't recognize that he's human.
You are neither the Zack nor Crypt Keeper. You are now Zack Keeper.
Yes, as my like face explodes and I'm just like, kill me.
Tales from the Zack Keeper.
So Meg, how was your spooky week?
Well, I have been sewing up a storm because I am working on my cosplay for Oz Comic Con. I will be there on the 30th of September, and I'm going to be dressed up as Star Butterfly from Star vs. the Forces of Evil.
Is it funny that I'm actually going to a new convention soon and I'm going to be dressing up as Grunkle Stan?
Oh, man.
I wanted to get a Stanford one, but I just don't have the time or the money.
So, God willing, I will get Jason Momoa's autograph. Because I live in a house where we love and appreciate Jason Momoa. My parents are big fans of Game of Thrones. My mom really likes the Red Road. I like the Red Road too. I also am really hyped to see him as Aquaman.
Are you gonna be like, come together to lunch with us, please?
Oh, I wish, but no. I'm
pretty sure that guy like just orders like, I'll have one boar, please.
Yeah, I know. He's a big man.
He just like orders a boar and he's just like, oh, I don't know, this might not fill me up. I'm on a diet of 18,000 calories.
Him big. So, Zach, how was your spooky week?
Well, I have a confession to make. I woke up this morning and I got ready for work and looked in the mirror and I was a skeleton.
Oh no!
It was the mirror. New logo.
Does that have anything to do with the fact that we did a new logo? Where Zach and I are spooky, scary skeletons?
Yes, and I have more of a receding hairline than I do in real life. Yay!
I'm sorry. Well, I mean, I wasn't going to give you any hair at all, but then I was like, how will they know it's Zach? It could be that other guy.
But I just love our new logo. It just is perfect.
And you can get it on my Redbubble store. There'll be a link in the description of this episode, hopefully. And
I feel like I just like opened up the trench coat. And like, yeah, we got your coffee mugs. We got your travel pillows. We got your
tote bags.
We got your pencil skirts. And
we got your t-shirts. We got your notebooks, I think, as well.
Yes. What you want, fam? We got it for you.
You want some Nightmare on Fear Street merch?
We're going to be adding more later on, but this is just the initial of what people want to trying to wet our whistles here.
Yes. Pretty soon we will add more designs to the store, and it'll be a fun time.
Yes, so if you buy any of that stuff, we would really appreciate it, and if you send us pictures, we will, capoeira somebody.
Yeah. Speaking of capoeira time, did you end up fistfighting Bigfoot?
So, unfortunately, me and Bigfoot had this huge battle. It was, like, almost like we were, like, gauging our power levels, and I almost had the final blow when he said, "It's Wendy," and I was like, why did you say that name?
Is his mom's name also Wendy?
Yeah. So me and Bigfoot are now friends though, but I had to fake my death to make it, look inconspicuous. But we did have our capoeira fight, and it only took 2 hours. But if you buy the 3-hour audio edition of I'll Talk About That Story, you'll get a lot less context in the movie.
Speaking of fun stuff that happens, where's a place where fun stuff happens and also some murders, maybe? The amusement park.
Knott's Berry Farm?
Not Scary Farm. Oh, yeah, you're going to go there, aren't you?
Oh, yeah. So also, other than that, I'm going to be going to Not Scary Farm this week. So I'll be telling you guys how much fun that's going to be because
nice.
I love my Scary Farm.
I love it, too. I've never been there, but I feel like I would if I went.
Meg, come to America right now, and we will go.
I'm sorry, I just can't.
Use your teleportation machine to come over here right now.
My teleportation machine is at the mechanics shop getting fixed.
Oh. Okay.
Anyway, this week we read Fear Street, Fear Park, Part 1, The First Scream. This is the first chapter of a trilogy, or a thrills and trilogy, if you will.
No! Bye, everybody. Zach is going to, jump in the sewers now.
The student has become the master.
Oh my god. I'm so proud of you, Meg. They grew up so fast.
This book was really cool.
Oh my god, this book was the best.
This one had a lot of, firsts for this show, which we'll get into after we talk about the cover a little bit.
Oh yeah, no, I think the greatest, I don't know what, or else was he did he contact Cthulhu? Did he decide, I'm going to be more like Stephen King for this one short span of time? Or I just want to try something different. And I gotta say, this is probably one of my favorite books. I read it from start to finish. And by the end, I'm like, I want to read more of this.
This is definitely my favorite Fear Street book that we've done.
Oh, it's perfect. Guys, just read it already.
This is leagues ahead of Final Grade.
This is Halloween night as well.
Oh yeah, definitely. This is the best Fear Street book that we've read.
So, the covers have more of a Dutch angle. There's these two radical teens. There's one guy that has a pompadour and he's wearing a denim jacket and denim shirt.
Rocking that double denim.
That double denim. And he's just yeah, babe, you're getting scared because of this little kiddie ride. And on the other one there's this girl and she's in a white tank top and also denim jeans. And she's just whoa, we're 2 feet off the ground, whoa. And they're I guess on a merry-go-round, it looks like.
Yeah, it looks like they're on one of that rides where the arm comes up and you spin around.
Oh, kind of like in Dumbo in Disneyland?
Yeah, like the Dumbo ride.
Are we having fun yet?
I don't know. Is that the front tagline of the book?
It could be. I don't know.
It is.
That's the boss of me.
So on the back, we've got, get your ticket for terror. Would you open an amusement park on Fear Street? Would you take the risk and go against the ancient curse of the Fear family? Deirdre Bradley's father would. He is opening a Fear Park in a few days, but he doesn't know that someone or something will do anything to stop him. Soon the screams of joy will turn to screams of terror, and Deirdre will be caught in a nightmare ride that never ends. This is the first of a lot of things. First of all, this is our first, direct, multi-part one, because there are 2 books that come after this. This one ends on a cliffhanger, and it's got 2 sequels. So this is a mini-series within the Fear Street universe. Second of all, this is our first book that is set in a period that is not, the period in which R.L. Stine is writing.
No, not at all. And it's really refreshing if that's, something, because we're used to, if you think of R.L. Stine, you just think of the 90s.
Yeah.
And you just think of, when you think of the 90s, I think of Smells Like Teen Spirit, Goosebumps, and The Matrix.
Okay, that's an odd combination. I would have said...
Oh, and Buffy.
I definitely would have said Buffy, but I also would have said, The Fresh Prince.
Full House.
Full House, Round the Twist.
I don't even know what Around the Twist is. The Simpsons.
Oh, we gotta watch an episode of Round the Twist for this show. It is very much in our wheelhouse. Anyway, so we the other first is we've had 2 Zacks on this show so far, but this is our first Megan. Not Megan, not Megan, not Meagan, or any of those other weird spellings, but the correct and true spelling, Maghan. Side note, shout out to Meghan Markle, girlfriend of Prince Harry, for giving me a real world point of reference so I can tell people how to spell my name, because when people ask me, oh, is that Megan like Megan Fox? No, it's Meghan like Meghan Markle, girlfriend of Prince Harry.
So Meg, now that we've done this review, where do you want to go now?
I'm going to Disneyland. Anyway, so Megan Fairwood is, she starts off this book. She's upset because she got an ink stain on her blouse from her real expensive fancy fountain pen.
Now, Meg, how much is this pen?
$4 dues.
Oh my god, just imagine all the stuff you could buy in 1935 with that, that dosh.
You could take the train into town, get yourself a pie and a gallon of milk at your local milk bar, and then you could take the train back home.
Yes, and while you're on the train, you could talk to Fay Ray and Charlie Chaplin.
And you could probably also have enough money left over to get yourself a ticket to one of them talking film pictures.
Them talkies. I hear they're quite popular, though I think they're gonna go back to silent movies. What's next, color?
These children in their talking pictures.
All yours. All yours. So what are you talking about, Meg? And, so what happens at the beginning of this book, Meg, besides the blouse incident? Because you know how those dames are.
Those dames in their fashion. Well, Megan Fairwood goes to the lockers and she runs into that young chap, Robin Fear, who, I love the description of him. It says, he didn't run with her kind of crowd. He didn't run with anybody's kind of crowd. Or something like that. It's really funny. He's a rebel without a cause.
The funny thing about Robin is the way to describe him, he just sounds like he should have been in the 90s.
The biggest problem in Robin's life is that Kurt Cobain and Robert Smith still many decades away from being born.
Yeah, and there's no such thing as the Peshmo.
No.
God, this poor man. I guess they could listen to Bing Crosby.
Bing Crosby.
Which they reference in this chapter.
And Clark Gable.
Oh my God, frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
Yeah. So, they're talking about them newfangled talking moving pictures. Maybe it's just that I'm from Australia and, like, we're 20 years behind the rest of the world most of the time. Like, at the least, we're, like, 20 years behind the rest of the world in terms of technology. It just weirds me out that, like, I'm looking at this and I'm like, magazines, did they have those in the 30s? Yeah, I know they did, logically, because they had magazines in Victorian times.
Yes, well, how else could they gossip about Jack the Ripper?
How else could they read those penny dreadfuls that are so delightful among the youth? So, while they're talking about the magazines, Richard Bradley, who is Megan's boyfriend, he is a pitcher on the school's baseball team, and he is the jockiest jock of them all. He comes over and expresses his alpha male dominance by just snogging Megan right in front of Robin, and then yelling at Robin for looking, even though you are the one that's doing this blatant public display of affection right in front of this other guy. He's
but
like...
Meg, that's not the most important thing. He was voted BMOC because they had text talk back then.
They wrote that under his picture in the yearbook. The big man on campus. Or if you prefer, beef made of cheese.
So Richard's being a total Richard, and he's like, hey, why are you looking at us, bro?
Richard's being a total Richard. I love it.
He's just, this Richard, man. What a Richard.
What a Richard head.
But he's like, there's smoochings for the movies, not for you. Just like, he's the reason why people can't hold hands in high school anymore.
Oh, yeah. People like him have ruined high school for everybody else.
Yes, and he totally makes like Megan uncomfortable because this whole first chapter is from her perspective, and she's like, he doesn't own me, he thinks I'm a piece of meat.
A lot more like, well, this is Fear Street, so it's a lot more like young adult than what we normally read.
And also they could have been like 1930s and like, oh, Richard, he's a dreamboat.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that, but that's true. I mean, like, R.L. Stine is using this lens to sort of be like, hey, weren't guys in the 30s really horrible to women?
Robin's like, I guess I'm just gonna go home. See you another day. We could talk about Clark Gable another time. And he goes home to his manor on Fear Street, named after his family, Fear.
Fear.
I feel like this is like the houses on the hill, and there's just always like lightning.
There's always a cloud above, always lightning. Always like a vulture sitting on the fence and like crows circling above going caw caw.
And all the grass is dead.
Yeah, all the grass is dead. His dad standing up in the window frowning down at the street.
Arms clenched behind his back.
With his lightning cracking in the background. Basically, this family's really shady and they go out of their way to make them seem shady. So it's like all of the servants have quit.
I wonder why. See, this is the reasons why the maids keep quitting after a couple days.
Yeah.
So Robin goes home. He goes in, the door's unlocked, and the only door that's locked in the whole house is the library.
Oh.
And Robin opens the door, and he sees his dad frickin' levitating with purple haze.
And all this purple smoke comes out. Insert Jimi Hendrix joke here.
Oh my God. It's just, this is the first time we've ever had, like, real magic introduced super, like, hey guys, this is supernatural. This isn't
and
realistic.
also, like, in Goosebumps, it's pretty standard for, like, everything to be supernatural. But in Fear Street, we've had a couple of the Fear Street books that we read before, Final Grade and Halloween Night, have been, like, just standard murderers.
Yeah, but here it's just the guy's like, yep, I'm evil. I read the Necronomicon.
Yep, I am, I sold my soul to Satan, son.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cthulhu hast flagen, Drawlee. Yeah, that's all I know. And as they're talking about her dad legitimately being like, I sold my soul to Satan, or
basically,
you know, Pazuzu or Beelzebub or any of the other lesser demons, they get a knock at the door.
And then these highfalutin city men come around.
Yes, and they're like, oh, hello there, Robin, my boy. Don't you go to Sadie-side like my son? Why, yes, I'm a junior. Oh, do you know my son, Richard Bradley? Mr. Bradley says.
And then Robin says, yes, I do know him. And Mr. Bradley says, that's funny because he's never mentioned you. Cold. Ice cold.
He just, like, walks in, like, I'm about to, like, embezzle land from your dad now.
Yeah.
Go along, son. Go get a malt.
Go see a Star War. The great stock market crash of a few years ago has ruined this town's economy.
The stock market crash, and we've all been living off, you know, not trying to buy war bonds and stuff. And cabbage soup.
And using newspaper as wallpaper.
And they all went to Coney Island, where they decided to, we're going to build an amusement park, even though 5 minutes after going to Coney Island, it burnt down for the 37th time, and 4 people fell off a roller coaster.
Because it's 1935.
Yes.
Anyway.
I just like the super, like how, you know, in older movies there was a faster frame rate. I'm just thinking of that now. The whole time, like, they're in a faster frame rate.
And everybody's, like, gesticulating wildly because they're not used to having sound in the film.
And one of them, like, low-key just looks like Boris Karloff and Bela Lugosi.
And they've all got those, like, that like, extreme eyeliner going on. Off topic a little bit, but, like, 30s film makeup, that's a look. That is a look.
Well, the look of it is just you're not trying to die because, again, a lot of the makeup had arsenic in it.
Yeah, but also, like, your facial features wouldn't show up on the camera unless you painted your lips and your eyelids black.
Yep, and that's why, like, German expressionist movies are just, they're super exaggerated.
Oh, yes. As I've mentioned before, I wrote my thesis on German expressionism. I could go on for days.
We can go on for days just talk about, you know, universal talkie horror movies.
Yeah, they're trying to buy this land. You see, Nicholas, we want to bring tourists to the great town of Shadyside by building an amusement park. And Nicholas says to them, no, screw off. This is my land, and my father's land before it, and his father's land before that.
And before that, there was just an old well where all of the colonists that came to...
disappeared mysteriously, leaving only bloodstains behind. Please ignore the clown. If you see a clown walking around in the woods, do not speak to him.
Actually, please do. You guys just go follow him. I think he wants you guys to float. I believe he wants to build your carnival.
So they go into the woods. They go for a walk in the woods.
Yeah, no, Rob goes into the woods because he's just like, Dad, we can't talk about this now because you're going to use spooky dooky magic for some weird reason. And it really weirds me out that, you know, you sold your soul. So while he's there, he finds Megan.
Just randomly, because apparently nowhere else was cool to hang out in the woods in 1935 because nobody had any money.
Well, they could have gone to the malt shop, but
yeah.
I guess, you know, a malt was a nickel and that was their outrageous prices.
Oh, and we forgot, when he goes into the woods, he sees Mr. Bradley holding what looks to be a shotgun, but then in classic R.L. Stein style, it's actually a piece of surveying equipment. Classic jovial Bob.
So Rob's just like, I'm getting out of here, and he meets up with Megan, and I guess, like, one of those, like, dandelions, like, fell into, like, her eye or something. He's like, I'm gonna go get it out. But, like, weird, like...
yeah, she gets something stuck in her eyelashes.
Really close, like, anime type of kissing where they're not quite kissing. Then that's when Richard comes out and as an alpha male and, like, bangs his chest. He's like, what are you doing here? And, like, I own these woods. What are you doing here?
Yeah.
You're like, oh, God, I'm just joking with you. I'm just Josh. No, I know you weren't going to kiss my gal, were you? You know, my gal.
My main squeeze. What happens after he meets up with Megan and Richard in the woods, Zach?
So then Robin goes home again. He's just like, I don't want to deal with this till tomorrow. And his dad is levitating again.
Of course. And he's like, Dad. He basically says, I think there's a part where he literally says, Dad, again.
Like, just like The Following, but like he's got supernatural powers. My dad's a cult leader, but he's wacky. I would actually probably watch that sitcom.
I would definitely watch a sitcom about a family where their dad was a Satanist.
A successful Satanist.
Yes.
Dad, why are you bringing your cult brothers home today? You know it's the night of the blood moon. Who's gonna go see my play?
Who's gonna come see my play? You promised you'd take Billy to Disneyland.
It's like almost like the Addams Family, where they just have a bunch of like people in like robes sitting in like the theater.
Yeah.
As like they're sacrificing a goat. The cool thing about this book is each chapter it cuts to a different person.
Yeah.
So next one it cuts to Mr. Bradley. They're actually staking out land because it turns out that they had gotten the council to be like, hey, so Mr. Fear's land doesn't exist. It actually belongs to the city because we can embezzle money.
Yep,
because we can use this as a public service, and then that means
It was the 30s. People were not as.
I feel like Mr. Bradley's just like putting his hands together. Yes, this amusement park will be a hit. Okay, so they're doing the stakes, like for surveying, because you need to like measure something at a point of distance.
Yeah.
And one of the guys messes up and puts a spike, a surveying pole, into his foot. Oh my god!
But then he says, it could be a lot worse.
Is this Phil? This is Phil's like great-grandfather.
Yeah.
But you know, they did actually the very smartest thing I was surprised about when I read this. I had to read it again. Like, my god, R.L. Stine, he wrote something correct.
What?
They said, don't pull it out or he'll bleed to death.
Truth!
Oh my god, he's smart. Don't do that. If you ever get something impaled into you, don't pull it out because you'll die faster.
Keep the blood inside your body.
We'll take him to the car, Mr. Bradley. I'll just finish up here, seeing how you guys are slacking off again. And that's when he starts to get itchy.
Oh, real itchy.
Like you guys, like you now realize that your nose is itchy, type of itchy, guys. And not like he starts like itching.
That didn't work on me. I'm sorry. I'm immune to it.
It's gonna work on somebody. His legs, his chest, but he starts really scratching at it. Like he thinks like he must have like fallen into like a mosquito nest. And then he starts doing like what happens in Poltergeist, where he starts like ripping his face off.
Yeah.
Oh, he doesn't rip off his face. He rips off his chest and his arms. So he like scratches himself, and his last thoughts are, am I gonna scratch my entire skin off? And then the chapter ends and he goes to Robin again, Meg.
Yep. So Robin is trying to get his dad down from his levitating position, and he thinks that his dad is dead. But then his dad starts breathing, and his dad doesn't have a heartbeat, which is weird. He listens for it, but he can't detect one. But this purple smoke is swirling all around them, and then his dad opens his eyes and says, "Hello, Robin." Yeah, and he says, "Did you see her?" And Robin goes, "What are you talking about, Dad? Did you see her?" And Robin keeps going, "No, Mom's dead. Mom's been dead for ages." And then Nicholas said, "She may come back." Robin gasped. "What did you say?" Nicholas didn't seem to hear him. He shut his eyes as if closing Robin out. "Dad, what did you just say?" Robin insisted. "She may be back," his father said, sighing, eyes still closed. And then he turns around and goes, "Mom, is that you?" A veiled figure floats into the room, surrounded by swirls of purple smoke. And his father says, "It is she!" You know what this made me think of? This made me think of Crimson Peak.
With, like, Doug Jones, and he's doing, like, the weird, like, contortion thing.
Yeah, and then just, like, weirdly floating.
Well, people did not like that movie, but it was just marketed completely wrong. That was the problem.
Yeah, it was marketed as a horror movie. It's a gothic film. All of us that actually read, like, Jane Eyre and Castle of Otranto and stuff, we knew what was up.
It was really good, and
yeah,
people should rewatch that movie, but don't think of it as a horror movie.
No, don't think of it as a horror movie. The description of Robin's mother is horrifying. Robin saw his mother's face, saw the gray-green bone of her rotting, mold-spotted skull, saw the black gaping pits where her eyes had once been, saw the hollow, gap-toothed grin, her jawbones hanging slack, bits of dried black skin clinging to the hole where her lips at one time had smiled at him, where her lips had kissed him. See, this is what made me think of Crimson Peak. She, floats down the hole and pulls back her veil, and her face is all rotten, and then a big old worm falls out of one of her eye sockets, and Robin screams. And that's the end of the chapter. And it's... R.L. Stine is really good at describing disgusting things.
This is perfect. It's a good description. This is honestly R.L. Stine at his, triple A game.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Full
he must
on.
have had so much fun writing this.
Yes.
Oh, God.
He wakes up, and his dad's trying to convince him that it was all just a dream, that he had some kind of hysterical episode, and he was screaming for many days. And there's a nurse there who's like, yeah, your dad's right. It was a dream.
They give him old-fashioned smelling salts and tell him that the vapors were.
Yes, he was overcome with the vapors. But Robin doesn't buy that at all. Robin notes that you can pay. My dad could have paid that nurse to say anything.
So then it cuts to Megan and Richard in the woods, and they're smooching and they're on Lover's Lane right now. Stop it, Richard! I don't want to see your Richard right now. And he's just telling the good news about how they got the land.
She's thinking about dumping him and leaving him for Robin Fear.
Richard's being a total square.
Oh, yeah.
And she's just like, that's enough. And she tries to run away. Where are you going, baby? And they start running and they go into a river. And they see it. They see a skeleton!
And then a skeleton popped out! It's been a while since we've had that one.
Oh, God, it scared me, because skeletons are so scary when they pop out of things.
Oh, yeah, definitely. She thinks it's a dead deer, but then she realizes it's a human skeleton. Those things don't look like each other.
So, the way they describe it is it's all a skeleton except that its head's still there.
Which is very comical when you think about it.
Organs gone. It's just the bones and cartilage is still there.
Yeah. And I don't know if you've ever seen a movie called My Boyfriend's Back.
Yeah, I've seen My Boyfriend's Back.
Yeah, that scene where he has a dream sequence and the dad of Philip Seymour Hoffman's character, who's dead at that point, he's dreaming that he's just a skeleton, but from the neck up he's still got a face and stuff. And it's just a really weird special effect that kind of looks fake, and I'm imagining that. And then she finds out that he's holding a measuring tape. And then Richard starts crying because guess what? Who is this spooky skeleton, Zack?
It's Mr. Bradley, or he likes to say, Daddy!
Oh,
no!
He does have emotions.
And then it cuts to a few weeks later.
Yeah, I thought that part 2 was going to be this Deirdre person that we heard about on the back of the book.
It's still 1935.
So why is it a separate part?
Or they could have just put 3 weeks later.
Yeah.
Or I thought they could have just done it a year later.
Maybe.
Whatever. It's just weird. There's probably some reason to it, and I don't know. Everyone's broken up about, Mr. Bradley being dead, and that they're going to do these plans anyways in the memory of Mr. Bradley. They're going to make this amusement park if it's the last thing they do. So they get the land. Richard's just super happy about this because, his dad's dead.
But his dad's memory is going to live on in this great, awesome, best amusement park ever. But meanwhile, Robin is like, did my dad do this? Did my dad kill him? I think the answer is definitely yes.
It's a very hard maybe question mark. Doesn't Robin take Megan to the malt shop?
Yeah, they go to the old malt shop.
I love that that's a thing in this book.
Yeah. I mean, you gotta have the malt shop.
I wish there was, I know this isn't the right time, but it's when I thought of it, I thought there was the greasers and the preppy kids.
Oh yeah, definitely. Malt shops always make me think of the 50s. When I think of the 30s, I think of milk bars. Pharmacies with a cafe, on the pharmacy, you go in and you get a milkshake and a hot dog.
Yeah, or a sandwich.
Yeah, I think about that. I think of pharmacies with cafe counters, or I think of milk bars.
And this reminds me, there's a scene in Reefer Madness where they go to a restaurant, and that's they're asking what they want, and it's would you like soda? Oh, I don't touch the stuff. It's too heavy for me. And then they're 3 root beers, please.
But isn't root beer soda? Root beer is soda.
Yeah, it's soda. So they sit down, they get their malts, and they start talking about the weird things that have been happening in this town. Because it hasn't just been that. Like, there's been, like, weird accidents with,
all related to the amusement park.
Yeah, like, things just breaking, people getting horribly injured and disfigured.
People stabbing themselves in the foot. But nobody's dead yet, I don't think, except for Mr. Bradley,
No one's
right?
dead yet. And that's when Meg's like, hey, this is going to be this thing where they're going to be for $1 a day.
$1 a day? You get a free trip to the park, but you gotta cut up some stumps.
You get cut up some stumps and you get $1 a day, and I can use that to buy clothes.
Because we could buy clothes with $1 because it's 1935. In case you forgot that this book was set in the 30s.
And they could use the money to help their parents and stuff, and Rob's like, I'm not really interested in this, sorry. So he goes home, finally confronts his dad like, hey, did you kill Mr. Bradley? And he's like, well, I'm not going to lie to you, but... Yes, I did. Yes, I killed him quite horrifically. Do you want me to describe it in graphic detail? I was the small invisible ants that ate him.
Was it ants?
No, but I think it'd be funnier if it's ants or bees.
It would have been really funny if it was like, just like tiny little ants.
Nicholas is just, spewing out that his son's a disappointment for not taking up the family trait of being a murderer.
Yeah, I mean...
My dad... you should apply yourself more. His dad, you should murder more people. And then that's when he runs into the woods and he meets up with Megan again.
They're always meeting up in the woods.
It's like Twilight, except this is better.
Conceivably anything is better than Twilight.
Yes, but I'm just saying, this is much better.
Yeah. Bradley kicks the crap out of him.
Meg's like, hey, you're pretty hunky. Insert other lovey-dovey 1930s references here.
You're the cat's pajamas.
You're the bee's knees. You're just a tall glass of water, and I just love to drink you up.
Oh, this is getting creepy.
So they start making out, and then that's when Richard comes out and starts beating...
kicking the crap out of him.
To the point of where Meg's concerned that he's going to kill him.
Yes.
I'm trying to think of what's the best example of this, of just someone getting the shit kicked out of them, from a movie. And I think Rocky, the ending of Rocky, where his face is all horribly disfigured. That's the best example of how they describe his eyes are swollen in and he's pretty much spitting out teeth. It's pretty horrific. And finally, it's this is just your warning. Don't come around here again. Don't talk to my number one gal.
Don't talk to my mole.
Richard comes home, and a couple days go by, and he sees Megan again, and he's like, I don't like my father. He's pure evil.
Yeah, Robin, the next time he sees Megan, he comes clean with her and says, my father is evil, but I don't want to be evil.
No, I don't. So I'm going to take that $1 a day.
Yep.
And I'm going to show my dad that this park's going to be amazing.
But he's totally just doing it so he can be around Megan all the time.
Yeah, that's the whole reason.
Yeah, definitely.
So they go the next day, and they start, clearing out the woods. They already chopped down the trees. They just need to get rid of the stumps.
Yeah.
And this is all from Megan's perspective of where she gets the gloves. And in the first 5 seconds, she's like, this is stupid and hard work.
Would you cut up a stump for $1 a day?
I've never had to de-stump something, but I'm pretty sure it's pretty hard.
Oh, it's difficult.
That's when she sees Robin, and she's like, hey, Robin, how you doing? And that's when Bradley sees... Bum, bum, bum.
Richard.
And that's when he takes an axe and tries to give him 47 whacks.
Megan heard Richard utter a furious growl. What was he doing? Was he raising his hatchet? Richard, no, don't! Megan shrieked. Too late. Squinting into the white light, she saw Richard swinging the hatchet at Robin. Swing it so hard, and slice off Robin's head.
But Robin gets out of the way just in time.
And...
he hits a fat kid.
Oh, no. Not the fat kid. We hardly knew him.
Yeah, so he hits the fat kid and completely, plows this axe right into him. And then that's when the killing time begins.
Oh, yeah. This is when they start to let the bodies hit the floor. Let the bodies hit the floor.
Raining Blood by Slayer?
I was thinking of Let the Bodies Hit the Floor.
I believe the person that sang, the band was Drowning Pool or something.
Yeah, I think it was Drowning Pool.
But it's just, as Can you describe, like, I don't have the book, like, open right now, but I can vividly remember, like, children getting, like, their heads chopped off. A girl gets, like, her legs sliced. Like, it's so horrific that it's so metal.
Absolutely excessive in its bloody goriness, and it's great.
Like, I don't know what it says about me, but as I'm reading this and, like, just imagining, like, R.L. Stine sitting at his typewriter, typing all this, like, these atrocities, I was just laughing my butt off. Because I was thinking, like, R.L. Stine being in the mindset of, how can I dismember these children? Click, 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 click.
I don't know if he'd been writing Goosebumps at all at this point, but it's like, he had all of this,
Yeah,
like...
he was. This was 1996, so Goosebumps is peak right now.
So he was like, I've had to, like, restrain my urge to write children getting brutally murdered for all of these kids' books where I'm not allowed to do that. I'm just gonna put all of the murder that I wish I could put in Goosebumps into this one book! Yeah, my favorite part is a blade sliced off a girl's arm at the shoulder. Megan watched the arm slide over the blood-soaked dirt like some kind of snake.
It's awful.
So the arm is just, like, wiggling. Like, you know when you take a lizard's tail off and it just wiggles?
Well, I mean, there'll still be, like, muscle spasms.
Yeah, and it just wiggles, and it's horrible.
So Robin's like, get out of here, Meg. Run. Don't see Slugworth. Don't talk to anybody.
No, but everybody's just hacking and hacking.
Murder, like not even just, like, murdering. They are slicing each other in half. Like, it's like if Lizzie Borden was there, she'd be joining them.
This is, like, full-on, like, Hunger Games. Because everybody gets the axe. It's not like there's just one axe and only one guy gets the axe and you have to fight everybody for the axe. Everyone gets an axe.
Well, this is just one of, like, those quarter Hunger Games where everyone just gets a weapon in the beginning.
The tree stumps in the ground around them were soaked with dark blood. Arms lay strewn in the dirt. A head rolled to a stop against a blood-smeared rock. This is just... You're right. This is metal. This is pure metal.
You know what's probably playing over this, Meg?
What?
Run, rabbit, run, rabbit, run, rabbit.
No.
Yes.
Honestly, I have to imagine this with Let the Bodies Hit the Floor because that's the only song that's, like, as brutal as I imagine this being.
I'd probably pick, like, a Gwar song or something.
Let the Bodies Hit the Floor is the hardest metal that I can listen to. And, like, Rob Zombie, I am not a metal fan. I know I dress like one, but I'm not one.
And for me, it depends. Like, black metal is my favorite.
Can't stand black metal. I've got soft metal for me, like normie metal.
Normie metal. So, like, Dragon Force and Slayer and...
To me, black metal, like, no offense to anybody who likes black metal, because you do you, but, like, to me, black metal just sounds like 6 guitars being played at the same time and a guy screaming. It doesn't sound like real music.
That's the point of it, Meg.
Yeah, but I don't get it. Like, that's just not for me.
So it cuts to Robin had just, gone back to the house, covered in blood nonetheless.
And what is the big twist of part 2 and part 1?
Father, I found my powers. You were right. I could murder all of them. I am a fear.
We were wrong to trust him.
No, I just, like, imagine, like, his dad's, like, back turned to him, his eyes are closed, and he says, I'm a fear.
And then he turns around in his chair.
No, he doesn't turn around. He doesn't even turn around. Like, he's like, says, I'm a fear, and his eyes just open up, and then it just fades to black.
Amazing. Yes. So then we get to part 3 this year, which was, what year again?
1996.
96, so I was 3.
I was 1.5.
God, are you that much younger than me?
Meg, we're only 3 years apart. It's not that bad.
See, I think of myself as being a child, so I think of other people as being older than me, automatically. So anyway, now we're finally meeting this Deirdre person that we have been told about on the back of the book.
Yes, and they're, like, listening to, like, the Spice Girls and Backstreet Boys.
NSYNC.
Yep, New Kids on the Block. And they're getting ready because it took them, like, 60 years. But by gum, they built this amusement park.
Finally. Deirdre Bradley, who is presumably the great-granddaughter or granddaughter of...
The entire thing has been built. They've had horrific murder accidents.
Don't say murder accidents. That scares the tourists away.
Yeah, the tourists. Like, people get electrocuted, plunging to their deaths, and weird stuff. But, they're going to open the park soon. It's exactly like Jurassic Park or Jurassic World. Like, they're going to keep the park open, even though they've had dozens of people already die in the situation.
they're doing a quote-unquote tribute to the mass axe murder incident of 1935, and they're having a play where they recreate the horrible hacking deaths of many children.
Well, yes, but that's before the part of where, her boyfriend runs the merry-go-round.
Yes. Paul.
Yep, there's Paul, and he's also part of this hatchet show.
She thinks it's in poor taste, but everybody else is like, no, it's fine.
Well, I mean, the funny thing, though, as I think about it is, I don't know, I've just been in the Not Scary Farm mood. But, so at Not Scary Farm, we have this thing called The Hanging, where we just have like a huge parody show where, in the end, we hang somebody.
For real?
Yes and no. It's, it's all fake, but we hang, like, last year, we made fun of the whole, it's just like a huge, like, commentary on the whole year. Mm-hmm. So last year, we hung Pikachu because of Pokemon Go.
Oh, okay, I get you.
Like, stuff like that is just normal to me. Like, I can see that. But it's like, we're going to have this show 4 times. It's going to be super high-tech. You know what the sad thing, Meg, is?
What?
I'd probably be working that show.
That's not the sad thing. That's the amazing thing. I thought you were going to say something like...
I'd probably want to be a part of the show, but I would just be like, hey, guys, I want to be in the tech booth. I just want to see all these kids getting murdered.
I was the fake blood girl for all of the plays.
They recreate the whole thing... Kids getting murdered, blood everywhere. I just feel like there's like splash zone seats.
Oh yeah, like Evil Dead the musical?
Yeah, where I did that, where you get like a white t-shirt and by the end it's red. Like they do that. Or like, I was actually thinking more like the Addams Family.
Oh yeah, I thought you meant that. For a second I thought you meant the Addams Family musical and I was like, I saw that. There was no blood in that. But no, when they did the movie.
Yeah, the one with Barry Sonnenfeld.
Yeah, the first one, yeah.
Where they just cover the whole audience in blood.
I'd love to go to a show like that.
One day.
None of them ever come to Australia, though.
So yeah, so didgeridoo gets up and runs to the stage and just turns up, Paul just had a cramp.
Oh no. Classic Jovial Bob. That's our RL.
And they get off the stage and she starts hanging out with her best friend, Rob. And
Rob. Her friend is named Rob. And who was the name of the other guy? Robin? And now we got Rob?
No, I don't. There's no correlation whatsoever. They can't be the same person. It would be just too creepy.
Great, R.L. Stein. Like, you couldn't come up with another name, so you just shortened the name that you already gave a character.
No, there's just no correlation. This can't be a twist.
Absolutely cannot be a twist.
We've already known that, Rob and Robin and Nathan or Nicholas have decided to devote their lives to Satan and Cthulhu and...
She starts kissing Rob, though. She's kissing Rob behind Paul's back, and she's like, this isn't fair to Paul. Deidre whispered. His dark eyes burned into hers. He brushed back his straight brown hair. Even in the deep shadows, she could see his intensity, his seriousness.
Yeah. And then she's like, I guess I gotta go get Paul before the night's over so we can go home. And she sees the merry-go-round, but there's something wrong. It's like skipping slightly, or it's like really hard. And she gets closer, and she notices there's blood all over the place.
Paul's head had been neatly sliced off. It lay on its side on the pavement, wide-eyed, light brown hair matted down, the open throat emptying out onto the walk. Gasping for breath, her hands pressed against her cheeks. Deidre forced herself to turn away from it, and once again she saw Paul's body jammed under the wheel. The shoes poking out, the legs, the rest of Paul. You wish he was allowed to get this gory and goosebumps sometimes, don't you?
Meg, I think about this every day now. Like, I used to wake up in the middle of the night just like, R.L. Stein, can we just have like a haunted mask one where you suffocate the kid in the, like...
Do you know what I always thought would have been really, really messed up if it had happened in the haunted mask? If they had tried, like, cutting the mask off of Carly Beth's skin and then she took it off and then she didn't have any skin.
That would have been so good. Or you know what would have been even better? Like a Night in Terror Tower where like they're in the torture room and he's just describing all the people getting like flailed and stuff.
Oh, R-rated Goosebumps spinoff. Give it to us.
Goosebumps After Dark. Just imagine like Monster Blood, but it's like the Blob.
The fantastic one.
Yeah, the best one.
Directed by the same director as The Mask, which is crazy. Chuck Russell.
It's so good, but did you ever watch The Stuff?
I love The Stuff.
I love The Stuff. I can't look at sour cream the same way again ever since I watched The Stuff.
I love all melt movies.
The Amazing Melting Man.
Haven't seen that one, but all of the melt movies that I have seen. Body Melt, Society, The Blob.
They're just like, oh no, this is terrible. We'll be ruined for sure. We can't open this amusement park.
But then the mayor said, We gotta keep it open for the tourists.
We can hush this up. This kid, he died in a boating accident.
Yeah. He died in a land boating accident.
Well, the boat fell onto land and killed him.
And that was the accident. He was accidentally riding a boat on land.
It's like, yeah, he ran away. Hey guys, you want to see our one-figure wax museum?
Then after they find Paul's body...
No, it cuts to 2 weeks later, and it's like, almost all of our staff has quit. No one can run the food stands, and no one can operate a merry-go-round.
They say Fear Park is jinx! They don't want to work here! I have no one for the food stands. No one to work half the games. No one to run the Ferris wheel. I think I could do that, a voice broke into their conversation. Deirdre turned to see Rob standing behind her.
Hi, I'm Robin Fear, and welcome to Fear Park.
We thought it was bad writing, it was a twist.
Oh my god, it's a twist. No!
It's a twist that you totally couldn't see coming.
And then it's to be continued.
So, this made me angry because, like, the back of the book does not talk about the 1935 portions at all, but that is the majority of the book.
It's not that bad, though.
No, it's a great book. It's just they marketed it as if Deirdre is the star. Deirdre is not the star. Robin is the star.
I like that it's from the perspective of the villain more than the perspective of the damsel in distress.
And I like that we are including some of this, like, Fear Street lore into the show now because, like, that's the one big difference between Fear Street and Goosebumps is that Fear Street books have lore.
This is the great thing about R.L. Stine. Like, when he's, like, on fire, he's on frickin' fire.
Yeah, when he is good, he is very, very good. And when he's bad, it's Monster Blood 4.
Meg, what did you think of this book?
I really liked it. It was, as I said before, it is leagues ahead of Halloween Night and Final Grade. And if there are other Fear Street books that are this good, then color me excited to read the rest of them.
If I had read this one first when I was, like, much younger, I think I would have kept reading Fear Street books.
Oh, yeah, definitely. This is a good one.
It's so good. Like, all the descriptions, all the characters actually are they're more people than they are characters. They actually have, these things called motivations.
Yeah, it's not just like, well, she's a child of divorce too.
Yeah, like, this is just R.L. Stine stepping up, like, to the plate, and he's just ready to go.
And so,
everyone should just pick this up.
Yeah, definitely. If you can find this one, it's a great one. It's a bit longer than what we're used to, but it's a good one.
Oh, I loved it. And it was fun to, like, try to talk about this book just because...
Yeah.
Like, there's so many great, like, when I read a book or see a movie, I know it's a good movie when there's scenes that just stick with you after a couple days of seeing it.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
That it doesn't matter how the acting is or something. A good movie is if scenes or a book sticks to you. Like, this stuck to me. Like, 90% of it I can remember, and I've only seen it once, but I'm probably going to go see it.
No, and this is a great book, because, like, even though it's got the thing about R.L. Stine is that his writing style is pretty consistent. It's always quite simple. It's always quite, like, short sentences, pretty simplified language. But, like, even with a really simplified style like that, you could do a lot of good. Like, you can still paint an interesting word picture with very simple language and short sentences.
Yeah, and that's the great thing about this book, and I think I'm not saying it's a masterpiece because we haven't read every single book, so I can't say one of the, like, what his best book is, but so far, I picked this book because, it's a part of amusement park, and I was just like, amusement parks are cool, but here, more than just the amusement park, and I like that. Like, I thought the gimmick was, okay, they're in an amusement park, what type of wacky things? Is the kid gonna get, like, murdered before they get on the big roller coaster?
Is this going to be Final Destination?
Oh my god, that would have been amazing too.
Yeah. So anyway, what book are we reading next week?
So next week we're reading another Goosebumps Horrorland book. It's the second one, so it's called Creep from the Deep.
Creep from the Deep. That's the one that has the pirate ghost, isn't it?
I haven't read this, so if there's a pirate ghost, as we're recording this, I think yesterday was Talk Like a Pirate.
Oh yeah! Yesterday was Talk Like a Pirate Day.
Yarg! So expect us... You think us having terrible, like, 1930s radio voices is bad? Wait till we have our really awful Talk Like a Pirate.
We should have planned that ahead of time. We should have planned it so that the Talk Like a Pirate one was Creep from the Deep. But oh well, doesn't matter.
That would have been good too.
Yarr.
Yarp.
Let's get out our best sea captain voices.
Yar, matey. I'm going to be talking about the pirates. I'm just going to record a segment on Pirates of the Caribbean. You want to hear a joke from Jovial Bob Stein?
Yes!
So we're reading from 101 Silly Monster Jokes by Jovial Bob Stein. Why did the monster cross the road?
Why?
To bite someone on the other side.
Ah, good old Jovial Bob.
So, Meg, where can they find you?
They can find me at Meg Tuten on Twitter. That's at MEGTUTEN. You can also find me at sodasodabanana.tumblr.com. You can find me on Redbubble, where you can find merchandise for Nightmare on Fear Street. Redbubble.com/people/Megan Tuten. That's MEGHANTUTEN.
Awesome. I'm going to be digging my shirt soon. So you can find me at Suda41, or if you want to follow our show, that's at Night Fear Street. If you want to follow us on Patreon, where we can totally build our own fear park, and maybe we can actually have that recreation of all the children murdering each other, you can follow us on Nightmare on Fear Street /patreon.com. If you want to send us an email, you can send us a spooky seance message at nightmareandfearstreet@gmail.com. Well, I'm Zach.
I'm Meg.
And stay
spooky.